Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to sit down. I do like to walk around, but why am I here today? I'm here today because I got asked. I don't want that to be overlooked, because sometimes that is the most important first step in anything that you're going to do. Sometimes you just need to ask. Maybe the answer is going to be no. Maybe the answer is not going to be not today. But you need to ask. And Ajay was kind enough to go through the challenges of reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn and getting them to pay attention. Hey, I have an ask, I have a question. And that's why I'm here today. And he asked if I'd be willing to come in and share some of my experiences and the things that I've learned in my life with all of you. And I said, that'd be amazing. I'd love that opportunity. Because one of the things that is now my responsibility, having over 25 years of experience, all at Microsoft. Come on in. No worries, please. Is to share that. If my experience and my knowledge goes away with me whenever I leave Microsoft, whenever I leave what I'm doing, then I have failed. Because what I have learned isn't being passed on. That's a responsibility that I see. So, in thinking about what I was going to share with all of you, I'm sure you don't need another lecture about data structures. I'm sure you don't need another lecture about systems and algorithms and all. There's plenty of ways that you can go learn those things. YouTube and TikTok and all the ways that you learn today that didn't even exist when I was sitting where you were. So I thought, you know what, I'll share with you 10 things, 10 quotes, 10 sayings that I still use on a weekly basis in almost every conversation that I have. And I figured if that's something that's relevant to me, maybe it might be relevant to you, but maybe it's something that you put away and in time it'll show back up. So I'll do a little bit of an introduction, share a little bit about who I am, a little bit about my background, kind of how I got to where I am today. It'll just be very brief. And then I've got 5 areas, 2 quotes in each of these areas: power of perspective, motivation and persistence, self-discovery and authenticity, relationships and empathy. Come on in. The water is just fine. And then purpose and living fully. And I think these are all sort of 5 different areas that are important, and you can apply them in all aspects of your life. Introduction, who I am. You may have seen this. I shared this with Ajay, and he may have sent this out. He may have not. Everybody's eyes probably went to the upper right-hand corner very quickly. Yes. I have 2 children up at UND. Yes, and it's okay that I am speaking to all of you. And in fact, my son, who is in that picture, he is in his sophomore year of academics, a redshirt freshman on the football team. But I've got 5 children. Our oldest is her name is Madison. She is in her 4th year, her first year of grad school. I have occupational therapy up at UND. My son Cameron is a sophomore in school studying physical therapy. Matthew is our middle son, and he is a sophomore in high school. Abigail is a freshman in high school. And then our youngest, Michael, is a 6th grader. And so this is me on a slide. If somebody ever want to know who you are, what is my identity, this is me, right? What I thrive on, what I'm good at, what's my career path. And some of the quotes that you see on this slide, we'll spend a little bit more time talking about. But this is me. But we're not going to spend too much time here. But one of the things, in addition, I am a coach. I love to coach. So I kind of view my life as a triangle of feedback. So I am a parent. I've got 5 children. I make a lot of mistakes as a parent, but I try lots of things. on my own kiddos. What I learned being a parent, I applied to my work. I currently manage an organization of about 90 software engineers in North America, but I've managed people in India, I've managed people in Ireland. So what I learned being a parent, I applied to my work. What I learn at work managing people, I apply at home. And then the third aspect of this triangle is I coach youth sports. So I coach my son's baseball teams. I am a high school assistant football coach. We just got done with our season, unfortunately. But what I learned as a manager at Microsoft and as a parent, I applied to my coaching. What I learned in my coaching, I applied to being a manager and a parent. So they all feed into each other. And so there's a really good feedback loop that I have. But it's a passion of mine, helping others get better, helping the younger generation. Backstory, how did I get to 10 quotes? About 12, 13 years ago, I was doing my work, and I thought to myself, I want to motivate others. I want to help others. But the problem is that I can't pull people one by one and be a cheerleader for them. Like, I can't pull you aside and go, hey, you're doing an amazing job today, go get them, So how do I scale this out? So I decided that every day I came into work, there was a whiteboard in the hallway, and I was gonna put a motivational quote on that whiteboard every day. I did it for an entire year. Every day, I'd come into work, I'd look up a motivational quote, and I'd write it on the whiteboard. And I did this for an entire year. Something really interesting happened. Some of them faded off, but there was this small collection that I just found coming up over and over and over and over again in everything that I did. And I thought, those have to be principles now. Like, these are the things that when I have a problem or something I need to go do, these are the principles that I'm going to apply to this problem to help go figure out what the solution is going to be. And so that's how I got to these. Some of these quotes are actually on my wall at work. And so when I'm in a video conference call, these are on the wall that people can see. And literally, as I'm having a conversation with them, I'm like, hey, you remember, yeah, this one right here. I'm like, yes. But they're so applicable. And so that's how I got to 10. Truth be told, I had to whittle it down. There was others that I had, but I figured 10 is a good number. The top 10 list is always kind of a good thing. And so that's kind of how we got to where we are today. First two quotes are going to be about perspective. Really important. Two things that I think are most important with perspective. Number one, that you have one, which takes time and reflection. You need to have a point of view. And number two, that you learn to appreciate someone else's perspective. Okay? First quote, there are two things you can control in every situation, your attitude and effort. This is a very popular saying amongst coaches. I think every team I've ever coached, athletic team, I have used this. We talk about controlling our attitude and our effort. We control what we can control. There is so much in your lives that you are not able to control. And you have to be at peace with that. But the things you can control, you shouldn't be a victim. Go control it. Make the decision. Do what needs to be done. When I was in university, I had a bad habit. I procrastinated. I waited till the night before to go do coding assignments. And then I'd pull an all-nighter, I'd get it done, hand it in, and the worst thing possible happened. I got a good grade. Why is that the worst thing? Because it was positive reinforcement. Hey, you don't need to do this early. You can just pull an all-nighter and get it done. I didn't control what I could control very well. and I've learned and I've gotten better. Still kind of a procrastinator for different reasons. But it's so important that you understand from a perspective, when you approach a problem, something upsets you emotionally, you in that moment control your attitude and your effort to how you respond in that moment. Whether it's a happy thing or a really sad thing or an angry thing. You still control your attitude and effort in that moment, and nobody else gets to decide that for you. Number 2, perfection is the enemy of progress. This one is on my wall, okay? We need to understand, and I've attributed where I've been able to find the person that the internet says it's most attributed to. I try to provide that. You need to embrace imperfection as part of your growth. Okay? Analysis paralysis is something that we talk about at work. But you need to apply this to your perspective of the problem. Hey, I don't have the perfect solution. Okay, do you need a perfect solution? Or is this good enough for us to move forward? And it's good to apply this to our perspective of the problem. Sometimes we think that every problem needs the super cleanest, optimized solution. That's not true. You might get to a solution that gets you 95% of the way there. If you want to get the next 5%, it's going to take you 40 hours to get it 5% better. And you've only spent 4 hours to get to 95. You have to decide, is the next 40 hours to get 5% better worth it or not? Okay, we need to apply this to our perspective because it's okay. Good enough can be okay sometimes, because then it allows us to go apply our time and attention to another problem that might be more important. So from a perspective, we need to really understand, when do we apply? We need the right solution. We need the best solution. And there's another quote that kind of I also talk about in this similar vein. We convince ourselves, it's almost an antithesis to this one. Antithesis. We don't have time to do it right, but we have time to do it over. So then we convince ourselves, oh, well, this is fine for now. We'll come back later and we'll make it better. Later never happens in industry. It doesn't. We have time to fix it and do it once, because there is a mountain of problems waiting for us to go solve them. So we do need to find the right solution, but it may not be the perfect solution, while we give ourselves the ability to iterate, be agile, and evolve over time. But we need to embrace this learning and this opportunity, right? We're not going to be perfect, right? What's the first thing I said, right? It's important. Why am I here? Because I got asked, right? You need to ask questions. Embrace that as part of your growth. You're not going to have all the answers, right? Your perspective is never going to be complete if you don't go search out other people's perspectives along the way. Motivation. There's a quote that I love about motivation. It's from Zig Ziglar. It's not in the list, but it goes on. It says, motivation is like bathing, right? People complain that motivation doesn't last. And it goes on to say, well, we attribute it to like bathing. You should do it every day. Like motivation is something we need all the time. We need to surround ourselves with those things that motivate us. Probably one of my favorite quotes. This one is also on my wall in a shorter form. In every situation, you have two choices to suffer two different pains, and you don't get to escape it. It's either the pain of discipline or it's the pain of regret. My alarm clock went off at 4 a.m. this morning. I either am going to suffer the pain of discipline and get out of bed, or I'm going to suffer the pain of regret, wishing I had that time back because I slept through it, because I had things to do. So every aspect that you approach, right, there is a pain involved. It's either a regret or it's the discipline needed to do it. The pain of discipline is always less than regret. But this is from a motivation standpoint, I think about this a lot. Hey, I know what's going to happen if I don't do this, and I don't want to see the other side of it. I don't want that regret. The motivation of having less regret in my life helps me suffer the pain of discipline to do the things that I need to do. Because as a father of 5, there's a lot that my family asks of me. I've worked at Microsoft for 25 years. There is a lot that Microsoft asks of me. I love coaching sports. There's a lot that coaching sports asks of me. And that all peels away from my sleeping time, which is good for me, and gym time, which is good for me. Right? Suffer the pain of discipline, suffer the pain of regret. I talk about be careful here when acceptance and ownership turns into indifference. Dealing with regret is hard. Oh, I didn't study for that exam. I didn't get the grade I wanted. Well, it doesn't matter. No big deal. That's indifference. That's you stealing the opportunity of that regret to teach you and be a teacher for you. Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't matter. I don't care. Be careful of that, because I think that regret, that pain of regret, is a very valuable teacher. Next one around motivation. Progress is made where progress is measured. So important to understand what success looks like in all the things that you do. What does success look like for you in this moment, in this thing that you are going after? This is also a quote that is on my wall. What does it mean to be a good friend, a good student? Right? We use GPA to measure our academic progress. Life, it gets a little bit more fuzzy, right? I measure success in my life as a father and as a husband by the amount of time that I give to them. And if I don't give them time for good reasons, maybe I didn't win that. I failed that day, and that's okay. But goals, when we think about goals and we think about measuring success, they should be 100% in our control to achieve. Otherwise, we are giving up the opportunity for, like we are giving away that control, which is not a good thing. What's a good example of that? I enjoy getting promotions at work. I don't know anybody, I've never worked with anybody who's like, oh, I don't care about promotions, right? Promotions come with new titles, new levels, more money. Everybody loves it. Guess what, though? I don't decide. I'm not the decision maker. I'm not the one that goes into the system and says, Chris gets a promotion now. That's my manager who gets that decision. So my goal a lot of times at work is to learn and grow and become better and have more impact and focus my time and attention on those things. And when I do, the decision maker will see it, assuming I help make that aware, and then they will make the decision. But my goal is to do the things I can control. Those are my goals. Get up, suffer the pain of discipline, go to work, do what's most important. Those are the things I can control. Those are what help me become successful. At some point in time, the promotion comes. But I don't judge my success based upon whether or not I got that promotion. Because I still know what I'm doing, and I can say I did the things I could do that I could control. Authenticity. It's really important. I imagine we're going to have some time for Q&A. I imagine there's going to be some questions, maybe whether it's around interviewing or how do I get started and those types of things. Authenticity is huge. Your professors here are not teaching you to be yourself. They're teaching you topics and about computer science but that knowledge that you're gaining is universally available to all of you. How you apply that knowledge to solve problems is what makes you unique. Knowing the answer to a question may not make you unique. So you need to be authentic. You need to know who you are. Many times at work, I have a lot of people who struggle with this. Identity is who you are, not what you do. Next time you introduce yourself to somebody and they ask you, who are you? Introduce yourself. More often than not, and I probably did it today, we introduce ourselves by what we do, which isn't wrong, but it's not our identity. It's just what we do. So I really encourage people to think about this. I think self-reflection is very important. Knowing who you are, it matters, because if you get a different job, guess what? Your identity didn't change. Just what you do change. Struggle a lot with this with people at work, because organizations make decisions outside of our control about reorgs and moving people around and saying, you're going to go work on this project and you're going to go work on this project. And people struggle because their identity, they've attached their identity to what they do. And when they do that, and then the business says, I need you to go do this other thing, they're like, I don't know. Somebody moved my cheese. Anybody familiar with that book? There's a book. You can look it up. This is recorded. Go back and watch the recording. There's a book. So, Who Moved My Cheese? So important to know who we are. And you'll never know if you don't spend some time reflecting on it. So you need to spend some self-reflection time understanding who you are and be yourself, so that when you show up in those job interviews, when you show up on those internships, you stand out. You stand out because you're yourself. So just be careful about this one, right? Always understand the difference between who you are and what you do. Next one, around authenticity. Comparison is the thief of joy. I didn't have social media when I grew up. The phone that I talked on in my house had a big long cord attached to it, and that was attached to this thing on the wall. Today's environment is very different. Our lives are inundated with this social media of the most positive 15 seconds of somebody's day, without knowing all the rest of the struggles that they may have had that day. And so now you see that 15 seconds, you see that reel, you see that post, and you're like, why do they get all of the fun? Why do they get all the good stuff? And I'm sitting here suffering. So it's hard. So be careful when thinking about who you are and your identity and being authentic. Be careful what you compare yourself to, because it may rob you of the joy of what you have and what you've been given. What did I put underneath there? Right? Never confuse happiness and joyfulness. Happiness is fleeting. Happiness is eating an ice cream cone, for those that like ice cream. Joy is spending time with somebody. And that time that you spent with that person permeates until you see them again. So be careful about thinking of that gratification that you get from this one thing and getting that dopamine hit, right? Yes, there's all the chemical explanations of why it is what it is. Joy and happiness are not the same. You can be joyful and sad at the same time. And it's all right. We don't always have to be happy. Life can be hard. Life is hard. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. You can find joy in the hard. Connection. We need to be connected to people. And You don't always have to use that digital computer in your pocket to be connected, although it gives us an amazing opportunity to be connected with people anywhere on this planet. And that's amazing. But it should never replace the opportunity to go sit with somebody, hold their hand, give them a hug, smell them. My favorite part of my day is hugging my wife and smelling her and her perfume, her shampoo, her conditioner. It immediately lowers my stress and lets me know, it lets my body and my mind know where I am. Because I can see her in face, like I can see her whenever I want to see her. I can hear her whenever I want to hear her. I can't, like, our sense of smell is something we have to be present for. Now watch, someone's going to say, like, well, what about that technology that came out, that it's actually going to help you smell things remotely? This quote is my approach to managing people. My philosophy to managing people is based on this quote by John C. Maxwell. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you've ever had difficulty explaining to somebody the things that you know and you're like, they just don't listen to me, they probably don't know how much you care about them. You're solving the wrong problem. As soon as people know that you care about them and you want what's best for them in their life, all of a sudden they start asking you your opinion. All of a sudden they start listening to you. But I truly believe this. I live by it. I will never explain to somebody why I'm right and they're wrong, why my idea is better, theirs is worse, if they don't know how much I care about them and their success in whatever it is we're doing. Never ask somebody to do something I'm not willing to do myself. In fact, sometimes I embrace doing the lowest, worst job possible, because then everybody else sees that there is nothing that is below me. And if they're like, well, geez, if Chris is willing to do that, I guess I can do that too. Relationships drive performance in all aspects of our lives, whether it's with our parents, our friends, our professors, people who teach us, confidants, mentors, coaches, people we're in relationships with. They have to know. They have to know that we care. What you feed grows. May sound like, well, duh. Your time and your attention is the water that's in that watering can. What you pour it out into is what's going to grow and be nurtured. I remember, this was probably 8 years ago or so. I was sitting in my parents' garage. It was Thanksgiving. I have 2 younger brothers and a sister. And I had this epiphany. I had this moment of realization that I was sitting around a table with strangers. They were strangers to me. I had nothing to talk about with them. It's my brothers. Why? Because I didn't give them any of my time. I didn't call them. I didn't talk to them. I saw them every 6 months or whenever we got together. After that moment, every Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m., I call my mom. If I am 5 minutes late, she is texting me, "Are you calling?" I call my dad 7:30 every Friday morning. My dad is now retired, and my parents listen in on each other's calls. I still call them twice a week because one is for my mom and one is for my dad. I have meeting reminders on my calendar every week to call my brothers and my sister. Ever since that moment, oh so many years ago. What you feed grows. your time, your attention, your energy is what will help it grow. Purpose. Why do we do it? Why do we do what we do? I like this quote. I actually, to be super honest, I had to look up the quote to go along with the picture. This picture I have pinned to my wall where I work, and I see this every day. This picture is a reminder of me, to never, ever, ever be the two guys just sitting there watching, the two people watching. I've written on I took a Sharpie and I said, don't be them, pointing to those two people who are just sitting there watching. Because the reality is if the boat sinks, everybody gets wet. Even if it doesn't look like it's your problem, you're still going to be impacted by it. So this quote from Oprah Winfrey I thought was really good, right? Helping others is the way we help ourselves. Service is transformative. It changes both the giver and the receiver. What's our purpose? To help other people, make their lives a little bit better. Give somebody a moment of joy, happiness. Maybe just give somebody a hug who needs a hug. Listen to them. When they rant, they talk. It's the hardest one for me. We can't be those people in the boat looking at other people who have problems and feeling comfortable. We have to dig in and help. We have to be service to them. This is the picture of the sign on my wall. This is the first thing I think about every day. I got it from Coach Kleinman, NDSU football coach, who's now at K-State. He was the one I heard it from, but apparently, right, he heard it from others. I did some research, and he isn't the one that I sort, but he's the one that I heard it from. Every day I have to figure out what the definition of win is. I have to know what that is. Today's definition is different than tomorrow's definition. Tomorrow's a different day. Every day I need to win the day. At the end of the day, when I lay my head on my pillow, I might be so exhausted, but I am the most joyful I've been because I won. The reality is though I'm going to close my eyes, and in what feels like a snap of the fingers, my alarm clock's going to go off, and I have to do it all over again. I have to go figure out what it means to win. I have to go suffer the pain of discipline to do it. I have to control what I can control. And I got to get it done. So I look at this every day I go to work. It stares right back at me. Win the day. I'll worry about tomorrow. Today I need to figure out what today is. And that, my friends, is all I have for today, prepared. I hope there is something. I can certainly share this with, I'll send it to Ajay, and if you want, if there's something here that benefits you, happy that you would take care of it. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come and share a little bit about myself, a little bit about my journey, what I've taken away from 25 years. Some of you are probably like, this is a computer science course, does he not get it? Like, he didn't talk about any technical stuff. Like, he's in the wrong building. The reality is that when you come into industry, I have to teach you all the things I need you to know. I need to teach you what it's like to work at Microsoft. The people that I want to teach are the people who are authentic and motivated, understand their purpose, Sure, they're going to have some tools that you're going to learn while you're here and other things. That's great. We'll bring those along with you. But I now have to work with you every day, and I want to know what the type of person you're going to be, because I'm happy to let you know how much I care about you and pour myself into you if I know that it's going to help you get the things done, get the work done, help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. But my time is very limited. And if that investment, that energy that I put into people doesn't come back to me in some way, shape, or form, then I'm going to move on. I'm going to find someone else. And that's the hard part about working in industry. It's not fair. And that's okay. It's going to be hard. So thank you very much. Welcome. I know 3:15 or whatever. What questions can I answer for all of you?
Don't be shy, okay?
And it's okay. I am okay with silence. I do this a lot on calls. I ask, like, who's got questions? And then I sit there for a minute waiting. Yes, sir.
So I also got my bachelor at UND, so like last year. I remember when I first took a computer science class, programming is just like so hard for first term. So I did spend like several days work on the assignment. Although for today I could just go for 1 hour. So what was your experience when you first learned programming?
The first learning programming, I loved the black and white. It works or it compiles or it doesn't. It does what it needs to do or it doesn't. Really, like it's right or it's wrong. I loved that. I love that. I'm an organizational type person. I love things to be where they're supposed to be. So I think for me it was very easy. Like I kind of, learned the language, learned the syntax, understood how to talk to the computer in a way that it would understand. And then all I had to do was translate what was going on up in my head into that language and then watch it go. And then be like, ooh, I missed this, and I missed this, and I missed this. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't code as much as I used to today. It's funny that I enjoy sort of the black and white of coding and solving those technical problems, but yet now I manage people, which are anything other than 1 or 0, a lot of in between. But I think what was always important to me was I always had the ability to learn. I was always ready to learn what was needed, and that was going to be the measure of my success. Can I more quickly learn what needs to be done and execute and get to a solution than somebody else? That was always my goal. Thanks for the question. Yes?
Firstly, very great slides. Really love the book. Actually, I wanted to ask you that how do you know that your passion was coaching or motivating others? Because we all here are searching for our purpose, and so how do you know that your purpose was coaching and motivating?
Do I need to repeat the question for the recording?
No, it's there.
It'll pick up on the other mics. Okay. When I was at university, the first that I got an inkling that this is something I wanted to do was the way that I studied for exams. So the way that I studied for exams was I'd get together in a small group. Someone would say, I don't understand this. And then I would be at the whiteboard teaching them how to do it. And I always felt really good about myself when I was able to make that connection, and then they would ultimately say, why didn't the professor just say that the first time? Now it makes sense. Now I get it. And I always just felt like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I think it was that experience over time where I love analogies, by the way. Something I tell everybody that I work with. I'm like, hey, if you don't like analogies, I may not be your person, but I love analogies because I think it conveys in a different way a message that hopefully somebody else can connect with. And I always felt that was awesome. And then I started. I coached youth football out in Redmond, Washington. So I lived out in Redmond, Washington, and I coached, and I loved watching these little boys progress in playing a game. And I'm like, well, this is amazing. And then go through parenting and go, managing people, and sometimes it's hard, but I love the aspect of knowing they are in a better place because of something that I may have did or was able to help them with. I love that. I love that. And so I think there was a lot of experimentation. Like there's a lot of well, let me try this and let me try this and let me try this. I had an internship every summer that I was at college. I didn't do any grad studies. I just have a lowly little bachelor's degree. But every summer I did an internship. And I learned something extremely important about my career. And I'm not going to share what I learned because I don't want to bias anybody in the room. But I knew I learned. I had an internship between my freshman and sophomore year. I had an internship at Microsoft between sophomore and junior year. And I could have came back, but I went somewhere else between my junior and senior year. And what I learned was, I don't like this, I like this. And I never looked back. And now I'm here over 25 years later with zero regrets. So we have to go try some things out. Sometimes we have to get outside of our comfort zone. We have to go do those types of experiences in a safe way so that we can learn a little bit about ourselves. And then we can say, yeah, I don't think I'll do that one again. So, yes?
I have a question regarding, because I'm an instructor and many students, okay, they have issues. They're saying, we are teaching here in the college, okay, a lot of things, okay, but when we go into industry, we have something else. So can we able to, let's say, narrow this gap, so to speak? So how can I improve myself? Okay, I get in the university at the same time. I learn something that's healthy in the future, okay, for my career.
Sure. Solve problems. I mean, I think every assignment that is given to anybody is ultimately, at the end of the day, is about solving a problem. Which tool do I apply to solve the problem? I have lots of tools that I can apply. Your ability to solve that problem faster, more effectively, more efficiently is what's going to separate you from others. I do not have a solution booklet sitting at my desk when I assign work out to the people in my organization, in my team. I don't have the answer. I need them to go figure it out. But I can't be like, but Chris, what am I supposed to do here? What am I don't know. I don't have the answer. That's why I've given it to you. Go figure it out. And so, as rudimentary as the problems might be, as, well, we'll never solve this type of problem because we'll just go out to Stack Overflow and we'll just look up the problem in Stack Overflow, or GitHub Copilot's easily going to just, code this up for me for now. Yeah, but guess what, everybody? Everything that I push to production, I have to maintain and support. So we have something called a DRI rotation, directly responsible individual. If one of our services goes down or has a problem, somebody's phone rings in the middle of the night to get up and go fix it. I don't live in a world where I produce something, I create something, and I hand it off to somebody else to do whatever with. We build it, we push it to production, we support it for our customers, and now we have to maintain it. And if it causes a problem, well, yeah, I'm no longer sleeping at 2 a.m. I'm on a phone call. And so I think the connection to make between assignments is how are we going to go solve this problem? Maybe it's a rudimentary problem, fine. But you need to know, why does the solution work? You need to know, why is this the right solution for this problem? How are you going to get to that answer? How are you going to debug it if it doesn't work? How are you going to support it? I think knowing how the broader system works, all of those is what separates like my best engineers from everybody else. Like they just see the bigger picture, they understand how things work, and they just naturally start bringing those other pieces in. And so I think, you know, as much as it might seem like some of the assignments are a Sudoku puzzle or a Wordle or some other like little thing, like it's a trinket of a problem. All of the problems that we solve are trinkets of little problems that we just have to stitch together for bigger and bigger and bigger solutions. I work on a product whose code base is over 10 million lines of code. And we run services for customers around the world that generates revenue over $2 billion. So yeah, this little trinket of a problem over here might seem insignificant, but it is a part of a bigger machine when you get out into industry. And so I think what's important is to always understand, like if I can solve that small little problem in a good way, and I can apply those same patterns and scale out, then good things can happen. And now I can run a service where I don't have to have people answering the phone at 2 in the morning because the service works. I hope that answered did that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up? Okay. Yes.
Let's say you're solving a problem and you have estimated that it's going to take 5 hours and you already spent like 20 hours in it. Now you need to decide whether you carry forward with solving your problem or you just leave the problem and do something else. How do you decide what to do in that situation?
Number one, don't wait till 20 hours before thinking about it. Okay. I think what would be important is to evaluate, why did you think you could get to a solution in 5 hours? Right? And you need to reevaluate what didn't I see? What didn't I take into consideration? Okay. Now, in some cases, like I live in a world where problems can't remain unsolved. Right? We have customers that demand us to provide software that works. So I can't really walk away. So walking away isn't really a solution. But if you were to come to me, let's say that you're at Microsoft, I'm at Microsoft, and you came to me with this problem, the first question I would ask you is, who did you ask for help? And why did you wait 20 hours, which is almost 3 working days, assuming 8 hours, whatever, right, per day? Why did you wait so long? Hardest thing that I ever see, if there's one thing that I could get new people who come to Microsoft to do better, is ask questions. I don't know why. People come in and they go, well, you hired me, so you must think I have all the answers. No, I don't think you have all the answers. I've literally had to tell people, okay, I need you to go do this. If you get to a problem that you cannot solve in 30 minutes, you have to go ask somebody. I've literally had to tell people that. Stop wasting your time trying to figure out something that if you go ask that person, whether on a chat, in person, they can give you the answer in 2 minutes. Learn from others. Well, how am I supposed to know who to go ask? Well, we have all sorts of ways of communicating, but go ask. So to get specific to your question, do you solve it a different way? I think it's contextual. I'd have to probably look. If it was we have a certain severity of issue for customers. If it's a certain severity of issue for a customer, we can't walk away. Maybe we need to pause. Maybe we need to bring in some other people. We need to re-brainstorm and re-evaluate how we're going to solve it. or mitigate it or do something else, like we need to rally around and bring in more people. Or it might be just like, hey, yeah, we really suck at estimating, don't we? Yep. Well, what are you going to learn from this then? Because you're the one that set the expectation for 5 hours. You're now at 20. You have nobody to blame. I didn't demand that you get it done in 5 hours. You told me it was going to get done in 5 hours. So what are you going to learn from this? How are we going to get better? So I hope that helps. All right. Please, go ahead, Simone. No worries. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. Now we can ask all the real hard questions, right? Yeah, go ahead.
If you want to start again and want to go Microsoft or other big companies, so what you will do actually in your resume?
I don't pretend that you're going to be able to do anything, excuse me, in your resume that's going to get you through all of the recruiting challenges. Enjoy your day. I firmly believe that the best way to sort of land that first job, that first opportunity, is networking. Who are the people? Do internships. Whatever. I was fortunate enough to, I had paid internships, but every internship I got was because I knew somebody. The first internship I got after my freshman year of college, it was my neighbor across the street. He was my boss. And then I got an internship at Microsoft because they came to campus and interviewed, and the individual who came back was an alumni from School of Mines in South Dakota. But in the fall when I interviewed, I got the big rejection letter. They said, no way, Jose. I re-interviewed again in the spring. It was a learning opportunity. I went back. I tried again, and I got it. And then my next one was also another contact, another person that I had. Those relationships I talked about, those connections with other people are so important. And it's not always about friendships, right? I'm sure the Computer Science Department has all sorts of events where they maybe bring in outside people. How are you connecting with them? How are you learning? How are you contributing to them? Right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You all want jobs. Every single one of you be like, Chris, how can I get a job at Microsoft? Can you give me a job at Microsoft? I really like a job at Microsoft. Everybody does. That's fine. That's okay. And if I can help in that process, I'm happy to help. But I can't just sit there and say, you're hired, right? So I would say, be who you are, make those connections, reach out, connect. I will also say this. I got lucky. I'm very fortunate. Did I work my tail off? Absolutely 100%. But am I going to sit here and tell you, well, if you go work your tails off and like you're going to be able to do it? No, I'm not going to tell you that. But what I will tell you is that when I think about, again, I love analogies, so here's my analogy. When I think about buying a home, a lot of times people, when they buy their first home, it's really not quite maybe the type of home that they grew up in or that their parents can afford, right? Well, this is things a little bit smaller, a little bit less. Okay, start there. Build up some equity. Now get to a bigger home. Build up some equity. Get to your dream home. Can't always afford our dream home right away. We got to find our way, our path forward towards it. And I think our careers are the same way. Start, build up your equity, move, build up more equity. If you can get to that dream job sooner, get there, right? Take that shot. That doesn't always happen that way. Yes, sir.
Um, so, based on your experience and qualification, when you apply for, say, internship or jobs, can you be considered, have you ever experienced that they consider you overqualified, you're overexperienced for the job or the position? Or if they do consider, then how can you tackle this?
I don't have any personal experience on that. I think two things. So I'll give you both sides of this coin. Okay. Number one, from the employer side, if they're looking for someone with these types of experiences and you come in over, the biggest worry is that, well, we can't give you what you want. And we're going to ask you to do things that are so easy, so simple, you're probably not even going to stick around for very long. So yeah, we can bring you in because you want us to, but now our worry, our fear is that you're just going to leave in 3 months and we're right back to trying to find somebody to work again. So that's the business perspective. From the employee perspective, I would just ask them, why does that matter? What is your fear? What is your worry? What's your concern? And is there anything I can share about me that would help mitigate or alleviate that? Do you want me to sign an agreement that I will return my signing bonus if I don't stay with your company for 1 year? I'd be willing to sign something like that. What's your worry? Am I overqualified according to you? Sure. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue it, right? Their perspective is their perspective. You have a different perspective. But in this case, you have to understand where they're coming from. And then you have to understand, is there something that you're willing to do or you can do to help mitigate that and minimize that for them? And if so, maybe they're like, okay. Right? Sometimes it's just about getting your foot in the door. And that can be a hard thing. But that's the way that I would kind of look at it, right? Understand their concern. Why does it matter to them? And is there something you can do to mitigate that for them? Or put their concerns and fears at ease? Yes. Ooh, 2 questions now at the same time. Getting hot.
So what technical skills do you look for when hiring an engineer for your team, given that LLM has made the skill development process really easy, and it's now very hard to distinguish between two candidates who actually can learn even after the interview, even after the process? So how do you?
My favorite interview question is I give somebody a piece of code and they explain it to me.
But is that it?
Yep, and then I ask them if there's any bugs in it, if it works.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, it works just fine. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's all broken. You didn't actually, this is a code review. That's the way that I sort of scope the question. This is a code review. Here's my pull request. Here's my code. I want you to comment on it. I want to know if you can understand. Sure, technology is going to be we have now built technology that scours all of the source code and is able to take patterns from existing source code and apply it to my problem. Fantastic. Guess what? We're going to push that code to production, and if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, the LLM that wrote the code is not the one I'm calling to go fix it. You're getting that phone call. And you're going to be up at 2 in the morning figuring it out. I want to know, do you understand what's going on? Why is it doing what it's doing? And can you give me a level of confidence that when we push that code to production, it's going to work? Because the LLM doesn't give me any of that confidence. All the LLM tells me is that there is some other code that this LLM said that there was a high probability that this character came next in this string. Okay. but does it solve the problem we're trying to solve? And so so do we do some coding? I've got some coding questions, but honestly, I don't even care. They could write it in any language they want. I don't care. You have to be able to explain to me and show me that you understand why is it doing what it's doing, what are the trade-offs, do you understand the technical ramifications of doing it this way versus this way? And if you know those things, great. I can teach you the rest because you've demonstrated your ability to learn. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes.
How do you handle yourself with tons of things on a daily basis, like on your workplace, your personal life, your coaching? How do you?
I have hard boundaries and I have soft boundaries. My hard boundaries are fixed. I don't give up on them. I hold them. I don't compromise there. I'm an assistant football coach. Fall camp started in August. For the last 3 months, I was done with work between 3 and 3:30 every day. I work with a lot of people out on the West Coast. That's 1 o'clock for them. I'm on a football field by 4 o'clock. I'm there for 2 hours. Monday through Thursday. On Mondays, we have some varsity games. I'm usually coaching till 9 o'clock. Then we have football games Friday nights. Hard boundary. Soft boundary, my alarm clock. I have to get up at 3 a.m. Yep. I have to get up at 3 a.m. because the bus is leaving the school at 12:30. I have this work I need to get done. That bus leaving the school is a hard boundary. My alarm clock is a soft boundary. I have a wonderful wife. She's amazing. And she supports me in all of these things. I am the only one awake in my house when I leave in the morning. Everybody else is still sleeping. I don't see my family. Well, they don't see me until I come home from work or coaching. Where are you willing to compromise and where are you not? And I think we get back to sort of that identity, authenticity, self-reflection. What is important to you and what are you going to hold fast to? But you have to be flexible in other places. You can't be rigid everywhere and be successful. People are willing to work with you if they know where you have those soft boundaries and you're willing to compromise. I hope that helps. All right. Couple more? Sure.
Based on your experience, do you really feel saying that AI will be replaced by many work? What's your opinion about that?
Say it one more time. AI is going to replace what?
AI will be replaced by many developers. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Based on your experience.
Well, I mean, I think we're early in it. I think AI is going to become just another tool for helping us solve problems. Is it going to get better and better and better? Absolutely, it's going to get better and better and better and better. The first internet I had was dial-up, a modem. It's now everywhere. Like I'm driving down the interstate and I'm like, what is this? No internet here? Bleh. Like, come on, cell towers, figure it out. It's going to get better. I struggle to believe that we will ever be able to replicate the creativity of a human mind in technology. I think we'll get better and better at mimicking what is already known in the world, in the internet, and we'll get better tools for saying, hey, this pattern already existed over here. Now that pattern needs to be applied over here. Great, right? I just don't know that, again, I'll kind of use my DRI, right? This Amazon had an outage. Microsoft had an outage yesterday. It even impacted my own work. It was a DNS outage, I think. There was not a single person who looked at that problem and said, oh, just let AI go fix it. That was not their first thought. Their first thought was like, who do we need to get on this problem right now? So I think we're okay. But you have to realize that those individuals, and this is true in all of like in everything, right? If there is a product that is written in a certain language, and I am working alongside somebody who understands that language way better than me, and they can code things out way better than me, I will never be able to compete against them. Period. But maybe there's another way that I can compete, right? Maybe there's other things that I can do. Maybe I learn from them. Maybe there's a shared tool. Maybe there's other things. Maybe I just need to do more learning, more research, spend a little bit more of my own time to learn something. Maybe I just need more practice. Newsflash. There's only one way that you get 10 years of experience doing something. 10 years. Period. You don't get 10 years of experience doing something by going and taking a class or taking a training or using an AI LLM. You don't get it that way. You get 10 years of experience by doing something for 10 years. No shortcuts. Only perseverance, dedication, commitment. So as much as the LLMs and the AI will know and be able to replicate, it won't, I don't see it readily solving some of those problems today. Will it someday? Maybe, sure. But then it's only going to replicate the things that already exist. I want new things, right? I have yet to see a GitHub Copilot example where the box just started doing things without me prompting it and telling it what I wanted. So we're still going to be that catalyst, I think. One more question? Last question. Who wants the privilege of the last question? Come on, you've already spent almost 75 minutes. Oh, you already asked one. He hasn't asked the question yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was curious, like as a manager, how do you strike a balance between like the different people and personalities on your team? Maybe some people want to be more aggressive with how you push out features, and maybe like the cost of a little bit more risk of something breaking, versus somebody who wants to be more conservative in how you roll out changes. How do you strike a balance between like them and then probably like your boss too, and maybe some other people?
I am a big proponent of you don't get to make somebody else's life worse. So if somebody wants to be more aggressive and there's a consequence, a negative consequence, you get to pay that. Not asking someone else to do it. Hey, you took a shortcut. Yep, I took a shortcut. Great, here's your problem. Our corporate vice president has this email from a customer because this isn't working. Your name's on it. Go fix it. So I'm happy to do it, right? Sometimes we have to learn that way too, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being aggressive, but we have to also make sure that we are safe and following best practices. Best practices are best practices for a reason. One of my favorite things to do, and I'll get to the conservative side of your question. But one of my favorite things to do is like you take something and then you read the warning label. And then you're like, it tells you, don't do this thing with this product, whatever it is, right? Don't sniff super glue. Can cause nasal damage. I'm pretending. I immediately go to think, what happened? That they had to put that warning right there. Could you imagine the story? Somebody's probably sitting in some courtroom, some lawyer is explaining to some judge that the manufacturer of that super glue, well, they didn't say that it was unsafe to put in their nose. And that person wins some settlement, and now they put the warning on the label. So whenever you hear a best practice that goes against your desire, I want to go fast. Our best practice is to do this, 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 this. That's a waste of time. I don't understand it. Ask for the story. Was this always a best practice? How did we get here? Why is that a best practice versus something else? On the conservative side, why are we afraid? What are we missing? What do we need to do? Hey, we need to move forward. Perfection's the enemy of progress. And even then, sometimes like, oh, well, guess what? As a manager, I get to hand out promotions and merit increases, raises, and bonuses and stock once a year. So if somebody's conservative and didn't quite have as much impact as somebody who was a little bit more aggressive, maybe their rewards aren't as good as they want them to be. Well, now you have to live with that. Hey, you didn't go as fast and as hard as you could have. This person did. Did they have some mistakes? Maybe, yeah. But they still achieved more impact than what you achieved. We need to go. And so, again, I'll go back to my triangle of learning and feedback. As a parent, again, here comes my last analogy. How do you teach a child that something is hot? 2-year-old. How do you teach a 2-year-old what hot is?
Let them touch.
Uh-huh. They have to touch it. And as a parent, my job is to let them touch it. But not let them pull the pot of boiling water onto their head. And then scald themselves, and now we're in the emergency room. I'll deal with the blister. And now they know. And that's true in my sports, in my coaching, and that's true in work. I'm willing to let someone get a blister on their finger at work because I told them not to, and they did it anyway. But that's okay. I can deal with the blister. I don't want to deal with the hot water and the Sev2 ticket at 2 a.m., right? That we're going to stay away from. Appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your time today. My contact information is back on this slide in the upper right-hand corner. So that's my email address at Microsoft, LinkedIn. You can grab me. I will make sure that these slides get to Ajay and he gets them sent out with all of you. If there is something that I can ever do to help you, please let me know. No promises, but I love the opportunity to give back where I can. Thank you so much.